Hey, Dolphin fans. All right, so first preseason game is tonight. So I've been meaning to do this for about a week. It's been kind of busy with the Dolphins last week. First we had Ajayi get the concussion. He seems like he's going to be okay. And then, of course, Tannehill. And so I was actually going to do this last Friday, and the whole thing blew up with his knee and all of that. And we didn't know who was going to be the quarterback. And now we know it's either going to be Moore or Cutler, obviously. And I'm not going to even get into that debate because they both have their pros and cons. But they're not going to pay Jay Cutler $10 million to sit on the bench. That's pretty much my opinion on it. But anyway, what we're doing today is I kind of wanted to go over the season a little bit. And I didn't want to just do a game-by-game prediction. What I wanted to do was everybody kind of figures 10 games, 10 wins, right? You need 10 wins to get into the playoffs. And so I kind of wanted to approach the season from that point of view and say, how can we get to 10 wins? What do we have to do to get to 10 wins in context of our schedule? A couple of things that I looked at when you really look at the schedule. There's no room for error. There's absolutely no breathing room in this schedule. We play a lot of teams from the AFC that we're probably going to be competing for a playoff spot against. So that's going to get a little tough. So let's just get right into how we can get to 10 wins.
What do you say?
Okay, so the first thing I did was, like I said, I'm not doing game by game specifically in order. What we're going to do, the first thing I did was I looked at, okay, what games do you just circle in, pencil them in as a loss? And regardless of who the quarterback is, whether it was Tannehill or Cutler or Moore, just what games are just forget about it. Maybe, a miracle could happen and we could win, but most likely not. And I came up with 3, and that's the at Baltimore game, which if you're a Dolphins fan, you already know. Just pencil in Baltimore as a loss and hope we don't get them in the playoffs, right? Our annual trip to New England, same thing. A miracle could happen or not, but pencil that one in. And the third game is, and this one some of you might debate with me, but it's at Kansas City, at Arrowhead, Christmas Eve, and I know we've played well on the road late last year to get to the playoffs, but Christmas Eve at Kansas City, I'm not going to pencil that one in as anything other than a loss. So those 3 games, barring some kind of miracle, just pop it up. You got 3 losses, right? You're 0-3. So now you got 13 games left, and you need 10 wins out of those 13 games. That's where it's going to get a little dicey here. So the next thing we're going to do is the games where pencil them in as a win. I can't speak this morning. And I'm going to make that real easy. 2 against the Jets, 2 against the Bills. All right? Because if you lose any of those games, just forget about it completely. All right? So you got those 4. So now you're 4-3. So you got 9 games left. And now you need a manageable 6-3 out of those 9. So now we're going to start taking them in order a little bit, leaving out the other 7 games. So what do you got? You got your opening day against Tampa. I'm just going to put this one as a must win. If you want to make the playoffs, you cannot open up at home and lose. It's just not a good way to start. And like I said, there's no breathing room. There's no room for error in this schedule. So we're gonna count Tampa as win number 5. After that, we go to the Chargers. Again, we beat them up pretty good last year, so I'm just gonna go ahead and give that win number 6 because it's just one of those games where if you're gonna get to 10 wins, that's a game you gotta have. Then, of course, we play the Jets, and then we've got a couple of games. We've got a rough stretch. And the London game, the Saints game. Now, normally, we haven't really played all that well against Breeze in the past, but we have played well in the overseas games. We've done pretty well. So in the context of needing to get to 10 wins and what's coming after these games, I'm going to pop us in a win against the Saints to get us to 7 wins, because without it, it's really hard to get to 10. So after the Saints game, Tennessee. It's a home game, but we did not take the bye week after the trip to London. Most teams, you are allowed to have your bye week after the London game, but we didn't want it. We took a later bye, which that's okay. I actually like that because it gives you a chance to get a little bit more healthy later on in the season. But that brings us to 10. We're at home against Tennessee, who beat the crap out of us last year, and so we're kind of going to be a little bit jet lagged, playing a tough team, one of those hard-nosed teams like a Baltimore or a Pittsburgh that we have trouble with. So I'm going to pencil that one in as a loss, because I just don't see how we're going to come back from London and play Tennessee, a really tough team who beat the crap out of us, like I said, last year. So we're going to go ahead and pencil that one in as a loss. Now we're at 7-4. After that game, man, at Atlanta, right? Not going to say we can't do it, but yeah, I mean, not much needs to be said about that. In the context, again, of getting to 10 wins, I'm going to put that one down as a loss. And now we're at 7-5. So what do we got after that? Okay, now we hit another stretch right before the bye, where we've got at Baltimore on a Thursday night, and I don't even know if I want to watch that game. I mean, I will, but I don't really want to watch that game, because until we prove otherwise, we all know what's going to happen when we go to Baltimore. In fact, maybe I'll go to that game. I'm only like an hour and a half away. That would really be a crappy game to go to, because every time we play Baltimore, it's like 22-6, or 29-8, some crap. We get the crap beat out of us, and it's not enjoyable. So after that, then this is really where it's going to start getting tough to get to 10 wins, but I'm gonna get us there somehow. So we've got Oakland at home on a Sunday night, and this game bothers me for 2 reasons. Number one, it's my anniversary. So what I'm going to have to do on Friday and Saturday for it to be okay for me to watch the game Sunday night this game is going to be costly. This is a costly game for me. And number 2, Jeff Carter, you're probably watching. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Good friend from Twitter, Automatics. He's a big Raiders fan, so I'm picking the Dolphins. And it's got to happen anyway for us to get to 10 wins. So that one there, I am not 100% sold on. Clearly, obviously, the Raiders are a good, tough team. But if we want to get to 10, it's got to happen. So I'm going to pick them just to piss off Jeff. And after that game, man, I mean, it don't get any easier. Right in a row, we've got 3 in a row here. We got the at Baltimore on a Thursday night, so forget about it on a short week. Then we've got Oakland at home on Sunday night, and I'm picking them to win. And then the following week, Monday night, is at Carolina. And again, I know Carolina obviously last year wasn't as good as they were, but Cam Newton is definitely one of the types of quarterbacks that always gives us trouble. Those pocket passers that don't really make a lot of things happen, we handle those guys pretty well. But the guys that have that magic touch, so to speak, who kind of run around and scramble and make things happen, we always have trouble against them. And it's going to be on the road on Monday night, and there's no way I'm picking us to win that game. So we're going to have another loss there. So at that point, we've got 8 wins and 6 losses. And so what that's going to do is that's going to leave us with 2 games left that we haven't already talked about, and you got to win them both. And some of you aren't going to be real pleased with the options. That's Denver at home, and then the Patriot game, and that's on a Monday night against the Patriots. And so with those 2 games, you got to have them because you only got 8. You got to get to 10, and that's the only way you're getting in. And Yeah, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure about either one of those games, but you got to have them both. So that gets us to 10. And you look at the last 3 games. You got Buffalo, the at Kansas City game, and then Buffalo again. And that's something I don't really care for. How we ended up with the last 6 games: 2 against Patriots, 2 against the Bills. I really wish that would have been spread out a little bit more. But that's just my opinion. Maybe some of you like it that way. I don't know. I certainly don't mind ending at home against Buffalo. That should be a win. It's got to be, right? So if you look at it, let's look at it. We'll put it into quarters, first of all. And, you're starting off the season 4-0, okay? And you're feeling good. Everything's great. And then by midseason, we're 5-3, and it's kind of shaky. You're not really sure. You get to the quarterway point, and you're at 7-5. Pretty much staying the course. But then you've got to win 3 of those last 4. And we did it last year, right? I mean, we won against the Bills and against the Jets. I know a lot of people say, oh, the Jets kind of phoned it in. But we still won the game. So the thing that kind of gives me pause, I mean, look, the optimist in me says, yeah, we're going to make the playoffs. We can do this. But the realist, the games that we have to have, if you say we're going to lose the games that we should, and we win the games we should against the Jets and Bills, with the remaining games that are left, the games that we have to have, they get the 10 wins is a tough stretch, because you're going to have Tampa, Oakland, Denver, and the home game against the Patriots. You have to have those games, because if you lose one of those, then you start talking about having to beat Baltimore, which isn't going to happen, or maybe winning that home game against Tennessee. I think if you were looking at any of the games and thinking that's a game that we could kind of, if we win that one, that's a step ahead, would be that Tennessee game after the London game. It's just going to be a tough, brutal stretch there. But, so I don't know, guys. Maybe we can get to 10. A lot of you but are probably going to be thinking 8, and 1 play, 2 plays is going to make the difference between 10 and 6. And 8-8 anyway. And speaking of differences, originally with Tannehill, I was going to be real, I was all gung-ho, and you know how it gets before the season starts, and I was thinking 11 wins, right? That was crazy. What do you want? But what difference your wins and losses is it going to make with Moore or Cutler as opposed to Tannehill? The thing that is going to decide that, in my opinion, is the quick transition defense. And what I mean is with Cutler and Moore, you're going to have a few more interceptions. They take more chances with the ball. So maybe, the defense has a 7-play drive and we only give up a field goal and we're feeling pretty decent. And then we come out and 2 plays into our drive, Cutler throws a pick. And so the defense is back out on the field and we got to hold them to 3 at that point, or maybe get a turnover of our own. And those transitions, I think that's going to make the difference with this team between 8-8, 10-6. So you guys let me know what you think. Hey, thanks for watching, and go Dolphins.